up? Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Ash Chat podcast with the Alma de Hombre Society. We have a real special episode here today for you. We are live from Prime Tobacconist in Milford. With the one and only, well, not really one and only because there's another one, but we have one of the Rick Rosses.
The boss.
Owner of Ross Family Cigars, man. How you doing?
Good, man. Glad to be here.
Awesome, man. Thanks for coming in, or thanks for having us down here and being on the show and letting us partake. So, gentlemen, how's everyone doing today?
Everybody's
Very good.
good.
Excellent. Good.
Been a minute since we had somebody in the hot seat.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Oh, it's the hot seat.
Yes, it is.
Did he sign?
Surprise! This is an intervention.
Did he sign the
waiver?
The waiver?
Oh, it's on video. It's all
Okay, we're good. All right.
Yeah. No. So Rick Ross from Ross Family Cigars. We have a new blend here today.
This is the original blend.
This is the original.
Rick Ross.
Oh, I like this a lot.
But we do have all three
But you
new
had-
blends available at Prime Tobacconist.
Mhm.
Very nice. Very nice. So tell us a little bit about, before we get into all the bullshit and all that kind of stuff, because we're going to go off the rails at some point. But before we do that,
He said, what?
why don't you let us know a little bit about Ross Family Cigars? How'd you get started? How'd you get into the industry?
Yeah.
So, I've been smoking cigars for a long time and love cigars, love the camaraderie and how it all brings us together. Even if we don't know each other, everybody has a common bond when we come to a cigar shop and smoke cigars.
Yeah.
So in 2023, I said, you know what? I've always wanted to open my own cigar line and blend my own cigars. And I took the leap of faith and started blending my own cigars. In 2023, I took a ride to the DR, to a factory that I know well, and just started the process. Came up with a blend, took a long time to do lots of different Fuma samplings and blending a bunch of tobacco together, and finally came up with a blend that I was really happy with. And the first one, the Rick Ross, is where it came up with, which is a Mexican San Andreas wrapper. It's medium full, a little bit of pepper strength, but very smooth and flavorful throughout the whole cigar. But I'm really excited about all our new blends, 3 of them which are, again, available at Prime Tobacconist, that are available this year. It is the 05 Dillon, which is a Connecticut wrapper, Nicaraguan Dominican blend.
Very good smoke.
It's very good, yeah. Great morning cigar. It's not your normal super light cigar. It's got a lot of flavor and a little bit of pepper.
Okay.
I just don't like anything too flat, but I think a lot of people will like it, especially for their morning first smoke. Then we have a medium flavored, which is our 06 Aaron. Again, a Mexican San Andreas wrapper, but much more medium, not too strong for the palate, and a tiny bit of pepper, but super cigar.
It's definitely smooth.
Nice.
Then-
So one thing I noticed in the naming convention, you have the 05 and the 06. Is there a correlation there? I'm assuming.
My youngest son is Aaron, and he was born in 06, and the 05 is my oldest son, Dylan, and he was... That's the Connecticut wrapper. He was born in 05.
Okay. That's
I'm
cool.
a big family man. Love my sons.
Hence the name Ross Family Cigars.
Ross Family Cigars. And then we have my business partner, John, who's not here with us today, but the Porco Rosso. And John's last name is Porco. Mine is Ross. And his son designed a label for us, which is the red pig, and Porco Rosso in Italian means red pig, and John's a big Italian guy. So I wish he was here, but he's not.
Yeah.
That's what, and John is one of the partners here at Prime as well.
That's correct, yeah. Awesome. So, and that's a Connecticut broadleaf, so a whole different animal.
Really good.
Whole different animal.
Really, I'll have to get my hands on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. I've had that.
Yeah.
Nice. So to bring it back a little bit, you said you started in 23. For everyone listening in the future, we're in the year 2025 right now. But you said so about 2 years ago, you started on this venture. How long did it take to get you that first blend?
I did a couple trips back and forth with lots of samples being brought back with me. And really, it was probably about 5 to 8 months that it took for me to finalize the blend that I had. But to be honest with you, the blend I had chosen, we stayed with the original blend I did, and I did 5 or 6 different wrappers. I did a couple different other blends as well, but I always came back to that first blend that we did. And I'm a huge Mexican San Andreas wrapper fan.
Same.
Hallelujah.
And,
100%. I will drink
cheers
to
on
that.
Yes.
Cheers.
We'll get to this too.
Yes. And I'm the subtle sweetness that it gives, the flavor that it gives, the amount of smoke that it puts off, it was just right on for me.
Yeah.
And the first cigar I wanted to kind of mimic what my palate is and what I enjoy smoking, and I hope everybody else enjoys it. It actually, Enthusiast Report and Cigar and Spirits Magazine rated it on a blind test, 95 rated.
Wow, that's outstanding.
Yeah,
That's good, man.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I'm not going to disagree either. I've had the pleasure of knowing you for a few years, and when you started blending this, you were generous enough to give me one or two before they even came out, and I gotta say, it's maybe changed a little bit since that first time, but it's always been consistent. It's a great smoke. I've loved these things for a long
this
time.
particular one that we're smoking here today is probably 2 years old, a year and a half, 2 years old. So
Okay.
it probably has smoothed out tremendously.
It's delicious.
yeah.
But I like a really firm, well put together cigar that's loaded with tobacco. So
you
my
can tell the
cigars are always
construction
firm.
is
Yes.
really nice. I mean, it's
And I want the
there's
burn
no
to
soft
be on
spot.
point. So if you look at everybody's burn,
Yeah,
they're usually
Oh,
right
it's-
on point.
Yeah,
Yep, they are.
Yeah.
It's a straight.
it's a nice ash too.
Good job. Good job.
It's a nice, real light white ash.
Yes.
Yeah, it's nice.
And it holds,
Yep.
you know.
Very cool. So you said you went down to a factory. Can you name the factory?
Sure.
Or is it...
I manufacture in Tabacalera La Isla
Okay.
in Santiago. One of the factories we produce in. Actually, all 4 blends are produced down there. We have other blends in the works in Nicaragua and in additional factories down in
Okay.
DR.
Hopefully not AJ.
Yeah.
All right. Well, not R.I.P. to AJ, but
Yeah.
that factory's
That's a
fucked.
hit, man.
You know.
Yeah.
Dude, that's going to be...
That's gonna hurt a lot of people.
People are going to be stocking
That
up.
is going to be,
Yeah.
yeah. I've been blessed. I know a lot of people in the industry. A couple of very, very close friends that own cigar companies locally as well as abroad that really connected me with some great people in the DR, like LFD, Padron, and I've gotten to know these guys from my buddy Danny, and Tony from LFD makes all our boxes for us.
very
We go
cool.
back
Nice.
and forth using his molds when we need to. The Porcoroso is actually the mold from one of his cigars, and the Porcoroso box actually is the same box as an Andalusian bowl, but they designed
Really?
it for us, and yeah, so they're great people, great
Awesome.
people, great fans.
That's cool.
That is cool. So when you initially went down there, did you have in your head already what kind of blend you wanted, or did they kind of guide you there? Like, how was that process?
So, you know, I kind of had something in my head about what kind of blend and what kind of flavor profile I was really looking for. But, you know, beside that, taking that all apart, you still want to get the afuma. You want to take the individual tobacco leaves, roll them up, and smoke them individually to get the flavor profile of each individual leaf. And then you play around with taking the leaves with different portions, whether it's a half leaf, a full leaf, 3/4, and you take whether it's 3, 5, and really put them together to get a flavor profile that you really like, and you smoke it before the wrapper's on. And the binder makes a big difference. This is a Creole 98 binder.
Okay.
So, we had put, like I said, I think after I was all said and done, I had about 4 or 5 different wrappers on this, and I always came back to the Mexican San Andreas wrapper. It just, to me, is that on a full-bodied cigar, medium full, really that, even though it's people smoke it and they're like, where do you get the sweetness out of it? Mexican San Andreas has a hint of a sweetness to it, and it really subsides that powerful punch that it could give you and just gives you a lot of flavor. And this cigar, when you smoke it, it really fills your mouth with smoke and flavor, and it changes as it goes. It gives you a story, and that's what I really wanted.
The story.
The story. Hence, our family tree on there. It's all about the story with me and my sons, and just, love my sons to death. And I really wanted to have a legacy that they are part of.
Right.
That is my end game. Cigars hopefully will be my end game, and give them something that they could take on and keep it growing.
That's very cool.
Yeah, because
Awesome.
it's kind of cool that you say that too. Like that, that being your end game, because you're not one of those guys that just kind of like you had some expendable capital and went into cigars and just kind of doing this thing. Like you're a full-time regular Joe. Like
Yeah.
you're doing all of this together.
Yes.
So I can only imagine the busy schedule that.
It's very busy. I've been blessed, thank God. I've been very busy with work, and I work a lot. And to fit this in, it was just time. At my age, I said, if I don't do it now, I'm never going to do it. And you got to take that leap of that entrepreneurship that I've been used to. I've always owned my own company, and I know the work it takes to put in to get to where you are. And it's a lot of work and a lot of capital up front, and you take chances, and you hope that those chances work out for you. Yeah. And this is going to take, I said, it's going to be a 5+ year plan. But I want to be producing in 5 to 7 years, between 1 million and 2 million sticks a year. And gradually with these new blends, we're going to get there.
Right.
And
you've got the boys included in some of the day-to-day operations with the cigar?
Yeah, they both are included in all the day-to-day operations. My son Dylan handles all the website stuff, the promotional stuff that we have. And again, we're really going to do a grand release with these new blends. But he's the ones who takes all the financials and deals with all taking care of and figuring out the P&Ls on everything and the projections. As well as, updating our website whenever it needs to be, contacting, he's in business finance, so whatever lawyers we need to...
That worked out nicely.
Yeah.
Well, and small understanding, too. I mean, talking about taking on a lot and adding to a plate, he's a full-time student, if I'm correct.
Yes.
So, I mean,
they both work. They're both full-time students, and, to put that extra plate, but they're built differently. They're not their average kids. I think they've grown up seeing
what you're saying is they're raised right.
Yeah, I think so.
Love it.
I hope so.
Love it.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
So they know what it takes to put in the work, and they do. They put in the work. And you guys know me, so you've seen very close with my sons.
Oh, yeah.
Outstanding, John.
Great kids.
Yeah,
great kids.
And not to derail a little bit, but you did mention the website. Where can people go to find out more?
So you can go on rossfamilycigars.com.
Okay. That's easy enough.
Yep, right, easy enough. And it's constantly being updated, especially now it's going to be updated with all the new blends on there, where you can find them, whether it's New York, locally here in Connecticut at Prime Tobacconist, out west in Texas. But little by little.
You're kind of leading into my next question.
Yeah,
I was going to ask where else
can we get them?
Right now, locally is really where we were in our wheelhouse, New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts. But gradually, once these new blends are coming out, is when we're going to start really moving everything out of that tri-state area and expanding. I did a show in Fort Worth, Texas, where there were a lot of very large manufacturers and popular manufacturers, and we won Cigar of the Show. And it was amazing. I was by myself. The people down there were awesome. I really had a great time. I was exhausted at the end of the day, but it was phenomenal, smoking cigars with 1,800 people, it was amazing.
That's cool.
The line was just insane, but it was very heartfelt and really made a lot of good connections.
That's cool.
That's very cool.
That's cool. So how many shops is it in right now?
So we're in a few shops in New York, few shops in Connecticut, a couple in Massachusetts.
Is it on like your website where the people can find you?
You can find it on the website where you can get the cigars. And, if you can call Prime Tobacconist also and have them shipped to you locally. So
there you go. I mean, that's the way we would prefer that you do it.
Yeah.
If you're listening, that's the way we would prefer. Call a Prime Tobacconist, have them shipped to you, because you probably can't get them locally.
Yeah, right, where they're at, and if they're different part of the country, and they want to sample our Ross Family Cigars and have some sent to them, you can call up Arturo or John at Prime Tobacconist, and they'll ship you.
Sweet,
that's awesome.
So you said 5 blends you had before you got to this one, right? And you kept coming back to this one.
I kept coming back to that.
How hard was it for you? And because I've dabbled in blending my own cigar.
Yes.
And probably when I went to LFD was that was the closest we did to really blending, because we did the puritos.
Yeah.
And we smoked. Oh shit! It was like almost
a lot of cigars.
It was a lot. And I know it's more than that because there's months and months of you doing that. But how hard was it for you to say, okay, I'm going to just X these 4 and come right back to this? And I know where you're going, because San Andreas is my favorite. It's my all-time favorite, followed by the broadleaf. So I'm happy that you put the San Andreas on this, because it's delicious. But how hard was it for you?
It was very hard. But and to be honest with you, after taking samples back with me, many multitudes of different wrappers and all that, and then going back again and saying, okay, let me see if I could tweak it, because you always want perfection and you never want to second guess yourself. So when I picked the first blends, I said, okay, I know I love it, but maybe it could be better. Maybe I can change something, and the palate's going to change, the flavor profile, the amount of smoke that you get. And I kept coming back to this first one. And I said, well, okay, after 5 to 8 months after going back and forth and blending and tasting and smoking hundreds of cigars, I always came back to it. This is it. And by rights, being that we got a 95 rating, just shows that I did all day.
Yes, you did something right.
So forget where I was going to ask. Yeah, I'll come back to it. So I had a question. I had a question, and then I was listening so intently to what he was saying. I forgot what the fuck I was going to say. That's not about the cigar
and the cigar
process.
is so good that
but
super
I don't even care.
smooth.
Oh,
Even though it's a medium full cigar, I don't think it hits you like that.
No.
It's so flavorful, so smooth. There's no harshness on this cigar. Nothing left at the back of your palate. It's just delicious.
Well, in my opinion. This kind of actually leads into what I was going to ask. I remember now.
Sure.
Obviously with aging the tobacco, that kind of smooths it out a little bit and all that kind of stuff. Was it much different? You said you kept going back to this one. So when you first blended it and first smoked it, how much different was it from when you maybe let it sit a couple months, or was there a difference?
We use 3 to 7 year aged tobacco to start. I don't want to be that guy that uses, less aged tobacco to save, a dime on the cigar. I want the cigar to be an image of me and what I stand for, the perfectionist that I think I am, and how anal, if you will, I am with what I do for work, and this emulated that. And so I don't want to come out with a $9 stick. You're going to get every worth a penny that you spend on this cigar out of the cigar, and it's a long smoke.
I barely think that I
So
I ashed once so far.
and they will, any cigar will smooth out as you age it more and more and more.
Right.
But being that we started at a great point and a great aging point, it's just
you knew what you were getting right off the bat.
We knew what we were getting right off the bat, and it's just going to get better and better and better.
Nice,
and it was great from the get go.
Yeah,
it was. And I think you guys probably have smoked these cigars right when we get them back, and you see how good they are, and they always will get better. When you age and you're at the factory and you let them sit in the room, it's amazing if you've ever walked in any of those rooms, the amount of ammonia that smell, it hits you like a ton of bricks.
It smacks you right in the mouth.
I've seen
really
people pass out there.
And even before they go into the room like that and you smoke them, it's amazing the smoothness that this cigar was. And you really, even before that happens, you get the flavors. And those flavors are very prominent in it that shouldn't change much even after they're aged a little bit, because most companies, most factories really only age their cigars 3 months, believe it or not, before they're packaged and shipped out. And some don't even do that. They're like, nope, they get them in and out. And I won't name their names, and they're great cigars, one of my favorite. But I want to age my cigars, and we generally age them from 3 to 7 months and then package them. But it's been a great journey so far.
Nice.
Great journey so far.
How did the blending process compare with this initial stick to the 3 that you've recently launched?
Good question.
Was the thought process to go the same way? Were you purposely trying to create different ones for those 3?
I think Cappy just blacked out like Will Ferrell in Old School.
Shut up.
So the hardest part about new blends, for me especially a light blend, a Connecticut wrapper, which is a delicate wrapper, because everybody has such a different palate. And, you can't just go off of what I like, because I want the masses to smoke it. So you have to have an open mind and say, okay, well, what's everybody going to like? I want everybody to say, okay, I want to do a Ross Family Cigar Day. I'm going to smoke their light blend, their medium blend, and their dark blend throughout the day, and enjoy every bit of the smoke that they do and not, come back to it. So the Connecticut wrapper, I think, was the hardest blend I did. The Porcoroso and the Aaron were much easier because a fuller cigar is much easier to blend than a light cigar. Because that, if you think about a light smoke, everybody's okay. Is it Cuban-esque? I want light blend to have flavor. I don't want to just smoke air and have a very, very mild flavored cigar. I want to tell a story and have a tiny bit of pepper. And even if it doesn't have pepper on the smoke, but if you retro it, you can get a little bit of pepper on it, which, an experienced cigar smoker is going to retro most of their cigars. Mm-hmm. And that gives a totally different story, totally different flavor. And so that one was very hard to do. And that took the longest by far.
How long was that process?
Yeah.
I want to say you don't want it, I didn't want it to take too long because we want to get them in production. And production takes time because, they manufacture quite a few different other big name cigars where I manufacture my cigars. And so, even though they have a lot of rollers and we got to get in line like everybody else. It's not a factory like a Padron or LFD that does their own and that's it. Padron is a different animal. They have their own farms or
they're vertical, right?
They are a very different animal.
Yeah, very different animal. So it's just different, and you have to get there. So, but the process just from blending throughout the whole, getting the cigar done, getting the bands done, the cello, getting the humid packs, getting labels and the boxes and the designs of the boxes and logos. And it's a huge process.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of time. It really does. It really does.
Before you went into this venture, were you aware of all the different things that went into like you mentioned, the boxes, the cello, the humid packs, the label, all of that? Was it like, oh shit, it really is a lot to this, or did you kind of have an inkling up front?
My mentor, if you will, and he's a great friend. His name is Danny Dickowitz. He owns La Serena Cigars. And
a shop in New York as well.
Correct. He owns a couple of shops in New York.
Long Island, if I'm not.
He really, it is in Long Island and Queens. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he really helped me along the way understand the business end of it. Not so much the selling and pricing and all that end of it, but more so of, figuring out you got to get the boxes and labels. And, and he helped guide me through the people that he knows. And, he's known in this industry for 50 plus years and very well to do. And whenever we go to any big name factory, whether it be LFD or Padron, they all know him. And he's really been a great asset to me and a great friend.
Yeah, Danny's a really good dude.
Great guy.
La Serena Cigars are awesome. Yeah. If anyone watching has seen the old Ash Chat, we actually did a show with, with Danny.
Okay.
Yep. That was the old Ash Chat.
The old Ash Chat.
We don't speak much of that one, but
taking a step back in the blending process, and again, somebody, 5 years in, smoking cigars, the pepper that you talk about, is that just finding different leaves that add that pepper?
Yeah,
to give it a little bit more or a little bit less? What's the process of it?
It is, and honestly, where the leaf is in the tree. So, the ligero, if you will, the top of the tree is going to give you that strength and more pepper.
And why?
Well, it gets more sun.
Okay.
Yeah. So anything that's going to get a little more sun, some nutrients, it's going to just have a different flavor profile. I also like my cigars to be a little bit dry. I don't like a soft cigar, a moist cigar, because I think it dulls the cigar down. But everybody has their own, humidification pleasures in regards to what they keep their cigars at. But
what's your
tobacco
go-to?
itself, I'm a big 66 to 68.
Okay.
I like a drier cigar.
That's even higher than I was thinking.
Yeah,
I'm like a 65, 66.
And I could do that easily, when you store them, you got to keep them moist because as they ship and as people put them in their trucks or you want to. But being that they're so firm, I mean, these are like super. It makes a big difference.
It does. I didn't want to derail too much, but I was going to talk about the construction again too, because as firm of usually when you get a firm cigar and it's packed, it's got a tight draw, doesn't burn well, all that kind of stuff. You have none of that with this. You still got a great draw.
Yeah.
a lot of smoke production. Like if you're watching the video, you can see the smoke. It's well constructed.
The old adage people were always thought about is like in the Cuban cigars when they're so tightly packed and they're plugged, quote unquote, plugged, if you will. Mm-hmm. Those days are much different than the skill that we have today and different people doing these rollings. And when we roll a cigar, we take all that veining out. We want to really go through the leaves. And we really inspect every leaf and categorize the leaf for its color, for its texture, for its thickness.
Right.
And that really makes a big difference also in how the cigar smokes, the flavor profile of it. Hence, like a real Connecticut shade wrapper. It's very delicate.
Yeah,
it's
thin.
Very thin. Yeah, it's very delicate. So, and that, that's a lot why you see a lot of the Connecticut blends, a real true Connecticut blend, have a lot of protection on it because it's a delicate wrapper, and you could, without a sharp knife, when you cut it, it could damage it.
Yeah, tear it up,
and I'm a big fan of, I used to do all the V cuts and all the punches and all that, but I'm a straight cut guy through and through. I will never cut it any other way. The way that you smoke the cigar, you want the circling effect and you want it to encase your whole palate. And I truly believe that on a straight cut, you're going to get that full effect and that full flavor. You won't get the nicotine that builds up on the V cut on the inside and then give you a little bit of a bitter taste as you go through the cigar where the nicotine's building up. So, I think that makes a difference also.
And so speaking of the process and protection, and not that kind of protection. I mean, actually,
why'd you look at Cappy?
I'm saying,
wouldn't you? Wow. Actually, it almost is that kind of protection. Was there a conscious? Like, did you go into it knowing that you wanted to have them cello wrapped, or did you want the look of the non-cello? Because I think when you're looking at a box of cigars and you see, a box of Padrones not in cello, like it just looks more elegant. But
that's a tried and true company, and you can never compare that to anybody else.
I just mean that look. Like the Oliva Milano does the same thing.
They do. Yeah. I think the one of the things that we're cello wrapped, and cello is two-way. It lets humidity in and out. But the old adage is okay. Well, we're in a encased box, and where you have many layers of protection, if you will. We want the humidity to go in and out unabated, and I think that's the adage that they have. Why do the cello wrap when we want the humidity to go inside our box and out? Hence, one of the reasons why they probably don't even paint their boxes, other than the super high end, So, and there's a company here locally in Connecticut that all their cigars no cello wrap and all that. So I think there's a good point to that. Right. We right now, as a new company, want a cello wrap because a lot of sticks are being bought individually, not just in a box. And they're going to take these cigars and they're throwing them into their humidor or in a pack, bringing it to golf or something like that. So that protection makes a big difference to me. So right now, that's the way they go.
And that's actually kind of where I was going to go. Because as a consumer, I actually prefer having my cigars in the cellar because I buy a lot of singles. I don't like to buy a lot of boxes.
Yes.
When I throw them in my humidor, and things shift around, things bump into each other. It's good I'd rather have that little bit of protection with the cello so that they don't crack the wrapper, especially with something like Connecticut where it might be a little more delicate or something.
No glove, no love.
No. By the way, it's
don't
been a
be
while
silly.
since
Protect
I
your Willie.
Toro Rick Ross, because I've been smoking so many of my new blends. This is fantastic.
I tell you, and here's a quick story.
I know I own the company.
Rick doesn't know the story,
but it is fantastic.
So over at another club, Rick gave me the Gordo of this one. I smoked it, and I'm like, oh, fucking lights out. And I'm like, this is great. Then I got a chance to smoke this one, and I'm like, holy shit. And it does adjust. Mm-hmm. You're like, wow, this one right now is probably my favorite one.
Yeah.
So then he's telling us about the lines, right? So we're sitting over here in Prime in the corner, and he has a bag, and he's like, and he's looking at everybody's face, and he's handing them one, and he hands me the Connecticut, and I'm like, Fuck.
And if you've listened to any other episode
You
on
know,
this
right?
podcast,
You already know where I'm going. I'm like, God damn.
because we're about to get into this too, which I'm
like,
guessing is
and I don't give it. I'm like, oh shit, thanks, man. And inside, I'm like, God damn it, I fucking don't want a coffee cigar. I fucking clipped that bitch. I'm like,
You ungrateful.
oh. And I'm gonna tell you right now, if you look at perfection in that way, he rocked that cigar because it's not a coffee cigar, but it will go well with coffee. It's definitely favorable, but if you look at the perfection that he put into his cigars, that's where you want to be. And so young into the industry too, he's already doing that. And then when you look at other if you want to see Rick Ross's perfection, come to Prime and look at the fucking custom humidor that he built.
Oh,
that thing is
same.
Because the shit is
that
sick.
thing is
So it's not only cigars. You walk in there and you're like,
He's a craftsman.
it is absolutely
literally
beautiful.
the man's a craftsman.
Yeah,
So he's a craftsman. So
It's
you
what
know,
he does for.
come here
And it
look,
goes into the cigar.
Yeah.
You know,
and it's not
that's
just
how
come
he
here and
rocks.
look at it, be awed by it, and then go to the right and pick up some Ross cigars. There you go.
And I'll tell you what, like I said, that Connecticut wrapper is very tough because I didn't want it to be that plain old Jane.
And it's not.
It's
It's not.
Yep. It is not your average Connecticut wrapper.
I'll tell you that right now, it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've not smoked either of those, but I'm going away for over this weekend, so I'm gonna grab a couple of those.
There you go.
Just throughout my day, just start with that one. And
Yeah.
Rick, you ever think about a box press?
So we have box presses now. So we now have box press Robustos in all our line, other than the Porcoroso, which is a figurado. It's a 5 3/4.
Mm-hmm.
But all the Rick Ross, the 05 and the 06 are all in box press, Toro and Gordo. Right now in the humidor at Prime, we have box press and Toro available.
Well, how many sizes are there?
So right now we're doing 4 different sizes. Not all cigars have 4. Most of them are 3. The Rick Ross itself also is available in a Lancero, which is unbelievable.
Oh.
But that is going to come after in a little bit. I don't know. Have you smoked a Lancero?
No.
Okay.
He just
Not yet.
went, what the fuck? Hold on. Again, I got the Connecticut before the Lancero.
What a
Damn
dynamite!
it, man.
What a dynamite smoke that is!
Oh, I can't wait.
And
I
you
can't
know,
wait.
being that
I
it's a
don't believe it.
Lancero,
Show me.
obviously a real really
Right.
that Lancero tells a different story.
Oh,
and
100.
by the way, the box press Robusto
It's good.
tells you a much different story.
That
even
was
than
in the
Toro.
4-pack that they had here.
That's
right?
correct.
Oh,
right,
my
right.
God.
Which
It's
was
good.
again.
You
when
got the last one then.
I got the last pack when it was here, and because I was late to the game,
bitch.
so happy that I got it. But at the same time, that was very comparable, you know. And again, but just gave you just a little something different.
Yeah, and
Dave
I
thinks
think,
that's strong.
and I think
You know what though? Here's the
This
thing.
one's not, right?
And I've said this before,
it's
and I've said,
medium full strength, but
I've said it to you,
doesn't smoke like that,
but
right?
tonight for some reason, and I'm not drinking a lot of bourbon, but I mean, it's a different taste.
And you're smoking faster than I do, which is unheard of.
Do you want to?
You're doing a lot of talking, though. You're doing a lot of talking.
And so actually, let's segue a little bit. And speaking of the bourbon, what are we drinking today? Because this is pretty tasty itself.
Well, you know, Cap and I talked earlier today, you know, what would pair well, knowing that this is a medium to full bodied. And we said we need something that matches it. So we're drinking a little bit of Larceny. Rich, I want to have you tell the story because you were actually there when you found out the name, how Larceny
Actually,
got
was
the name.
pretty freaking cool. So,
That is a cool story.
yeah, you were with me, right?
Yes, I was.
So we're there at Larceny.
Oh, wow.
We're at Heaven Hill.
We were at Heaven Hill. So the
That's
funny,
good.
you didn't sip it before?
No.
Really good.
So
Yeah, listen to the story.
We were
It's
surprised with the
awesome.
story because I guess back in the days they used to have the distiller and a tax person,
Tax person, yeah.
and the tax person would have to stay in the rick houses to make sure nobody was taking anything, right? Which was weird. So
Yeah.
we're like, is that really the truth? So this freaking guy climbs up and finds a sweet spot in the rick houses, and he's fucking siphoning shit off and sharing with his friends, and it's like delicious. So they're like, wait a minute, this shit is light. So they wait for his ass one day, and they find him and they arrest him for fucking larceny. And that's where it comes.
Yeah.
He gets locked the hell up, and that's why they named it larceny. I'm like, are you kidding me?
What
It
a
was-
story.
And
It was-
if you want to take that story a little further, right?
Who was it?
Well, yeah. So the name of the guy was Fitzgerald. So if you've ever had an old Fitz,
Yep.
he was the guy that got busted for stealing the moonshine at Heaven
kidding.
Hill.
Shit.
Who found the honey spot in the
He
rack
found the
house.
honey spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a funny story.
That shit was hilarious.
Yeah.
So they make a couple different batches. Everybody has their preferences. I mean, again, you liked it, and I know that you're not, a huge drinker like Rich.
Fantastic.
But this is
I mean, it ain't wrong.
This is 125 proof.
And it does not
Doesn't taste
drink
like that. But at the
That's
same
I
time,
knew it was going to be high.
but at the same
But
time,
it's not that hot.
but
No,
think
it's
about
not. For 125, it's not.
No.
But it's also pairing so well with this
man,
cigar.
really?
It is. I think that's killing some of the thing for you.
Maybe.
But I got to tell you,
Drink some more.
for me, something that proof doesn't give you that caramel, that flavor. This has got it.
There's still a bit of sweetness
It
to
really is.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
burned.
Yeah.
It's
No,
not-
no.
This is a
even that-
liquid Rick Ross cigar.
Even a little bit of heat that you get, it dissipates immediately.
Real quick.
Real quick. And where normally for me, I get that little bit of a lingering effect. This has none of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really impressed with this. Wow.
Yeah. And then on a draw, if you sip, you get the caramel hits you heavy.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
it brings out the sweetness
Yes.
in it.
So good pairing tonight.
I read that somewhere.
Thanks for bringing the cigars.
Fantastic, man.
But
Thanks for bringing this.
hey, listen, this we got to think. It was a collaboration.
Yeah.
It was a collaboration.
Teamwork.
He was at the bottom of the cabinet and said, pick me, pick me.
Can you imagine? It's like you're at a cigar, event, not even event, like you went to the trade show or whatever. You chit-chatting, handsome fella like yourself. Yeah, girl. I make my own cigars. Have a Rick Ross. Your name's on the damn label.
Yeah.
It's like instantly,
I want my name on the back of chicks' asses on their jeans.
Put a Rick Ross in your mouth.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm the boss.
Now you're talking. Now you're talking.
Well, here's
you can take that one for free.
Yeah.
I think one of my favorite things here at Prime is when we're all sitting around and there's a new person that comes in that's never met Rick, and we introduce him, and somebody else, I say, have you met Rick? And I go say, this is Rick Ross. And
Yeah.
the heads turn and
Not that one.
Yeah. No, I mean, the looks and the fun, and he's really good about it. He's just like, yeah, no, not that guy. So,
Every day I'm hustling.
That is true.
Yes,
Every day.
it is.
that should be the name of your cigar.
Yeah,
Hustling.
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 Yep.
Oh, very cool.
What are the plans? I mean, like I said, I obviously I know you want a bigger line. You want this to grow, and it'll grow, as it feeds itself. But I mean, give me a 5-10 year.
So we're gonna do a grand release once all the shipment comes, which it's on its way. And our plan is to really do a grand release of all the cigars, not just the Rick Ross, because we knew we were doing other blends, and then we were going to do full force push on all the cigar line. It's just much easier rather than having one sole cigar to sell and say, okay, well, he's a one-hit wonder or whatever have you. That's not what I'm about. That's not what I want. I want longevity, and I want to create a company that will stand the test of time and people will love. And my main thing is making sure that every cigar comes out tasting the same.
Right.
And that's the hardest thing for a cigar. Consistency is tough. And I think we've nailed it so far. It's
100%.
really good. And they just get better and better and better. And it's just awesome. This cigar is just great. There's zero harshness. I mean, nothing.
Yeah.
And just great flavor and encompass, and look at the smoke. Look at that, Rich.
It's
Look
delicious.
at that.
I'm telling you,
if
this
you
is-
need some models for the marketing, I'm sure we can find a couple guys that hook you up. Just saying.
So you're saying you'd like to put a Rick Ross in your mouth too?
Why not, Cap?
That is not what I said.
You want to see my packer?
There it is. That ready to go.
I knew it was going to come out.
Preparation.
That was great.
He said we were going off the rails.
There it was.
I'll bring it back on the track just a little bit. We were talking about the different sizes and the blending and everything. What size did you blend to a certain size, or did you try different sizes as you were blending?
I didn't blend. I shouldn't say that. I blended to a certain size when we're smoking. You usually want to smoke a Robusto or a Toro because when you're rolling, your hand rolling and smoking, we're just rolling cigars as you go. And you're at a table and you have a large ashtray and, we're literally putting the cigar down or we're spreading it around. I'm smoking it, everybody else is smoking, and we're just trying it. And, it's just easier to roll a Robusto or a Toro and just keep smoking and smoking and smoking. And then obviously different wrappers. And by the way,
Have you tried to roll a cigar?
Oh yeah.
That shit ain't easy.
Oh yeah. No, it's not. Oh yeah.
It's definitely not.
cutting the right shape on it. Even it's tough. It's really a experience that you could tell when somebody's real. And
when you get to watch a real
experience roller,
craftsman work that cigar.
almost
They
an
are.
art form.
They are.
How
Oh,
they
it
can
is.
do the different
Oh, yeah.
sizes.
100%.
And it's not just the roller, because there's always two guys at the stand. So there's a set of two guys that do it. One guy is putting all the blends together. The other guy's doing the wrappers. And then they get put aside, and then another guy comes over and wheels them as they go and puts them into the drying, room, aging room, I should say. So it's a communal effort. There's multitude of a lot of people in that factory. They have different, definite jobs that they do. I mean, look at when you get a bundle of, you guys have seen it, of tobacco. It comes in this big bale.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And these girls generally will handpick through every bale and categorize every leaf that comes off that bale
By color, too.
by color,
Yeah.
texture, everything.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, it's a plant. Mexican San Andreas can come in multitude of shades.
Mhm.
So if you see in one of the packs and you see a lighter shade, it's still Mexican San Andreas and it'll taste the same.
Yeah.
But it's like you and I, we're just different colors,
Mhm.
But it
Sounds racist.
yeah.
Because he black like that.
I don't see color, man. I didn't notice.
But they taste the same.
Oh, man.
But it is if you ever get a chance, anybody that's never done it, to go to a factory,
Yeah.
really see the.
It's on my
amazing.
bucket list.
It's amazing.
It's
cool.
amazing.
It's very cool.
And you really see the love and the process. It just gives you another level of love for the cigar
Yeah.
and appreciation of what goes into this.
Oh, when you see how many people actually touch a cigar,
Oh.
Yeah.
start to finish, and
it's like a million touches.
It's crazy.
it's insane.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And even to the point of when they're packing the cigars, it's amazing how they put these labels on and they're like lightning fast.
It's amazing, bro.
It's
amazing. It's crazy. I've watched them do it.
And they don't measure.
Yeah. No.
No. And it's on point.
But in regards
Yeah.
to rolling a cigar, correct me if I'm wrong, an individual roller will roll maybe 100 cigars a day?
400.
400 a day.
Generally,
Yeah.
the factory that I am in, we like to have the rollers roll maximum 400 cigars a day, and then they're done for the day. We want to keep that quality up.
Quality, consistency.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Start getting
fatigue
Yeah.
or anything like that. And, 400's a lot of cigars.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of cigars. There are a lot of other factories that pump out a lot more than that. But, when you go to certain factories and you're having all these custom cigars made with logos on them, whether it be a baseball or football, there's generally only two people in that whole factory that are sitting there, and that's all they do all day.
Yep.
They just do those special.
The custom went off.
Yes, exactly.
I don't know who you'd be talking about.
Yeah.
Baseballs or footballs.
But they have a great system. Those guys are great,
Yeah.
and they make a damn good cigar.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do. It's those things are cool to see too. Like just the art that actually goes into actually creating.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
it's
insane.
amazing.
It
And
is
it's
art.
all hand done.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. I mean, they're not laser cut. They're all hand cut.
Yeah.
It's
They
really
look damn
hard.
good.
They are damn
Yeah,
good.
it's pretty slick.
Yeah.
Damn good.
Yeah. So
Damn good.
It's amazing, bro.
Amazing, bro. You know what you can do with that motherfucker? You want that shit up, put it right up your ass.
So, I swear I'm trying to keep this one right.
It's not happening. Come on, next question. Let's go.
All right, so you've got 3 lines out right now.
four
It's
lines.
four
Four
lines. Sorry,
lines. Yeah.
I can't count. I'm not that good. No, I can do
You
audio.
wanna use my
I
fingers
can't
too?
count. Please, I might need to. It might be a little early to start that, but have you started thinking about what's next?
Oh yes. Always. I'm always.
Yeah.
The wheels are always turning, and what's next? John, my partner, especially with the Porco Rosso, when we came up with it, he has 2 sons.
That's the one I
as well.
forgot about. I forget about John.
Yeah, and we really want to create, because he's very family oriented. Also, loves his family, his kids, and I think that's the next animal. We're gonna, design 2 blends, and we like to see the blends kind of mimic how we feel like our kids are, and what kind of flavor we kind of can, look at his son and say, okay, well, this reminds me of him. And just, it's big like that where we can, that family oriented for us.
Yeah.
Did your sons have a hand in the blending process, or they just?
So my sons did not have initially in there. I shouldn't say they didn't. So they didn't go with me to the DR at that particular time. But when we came back, my sons do smoke our cigars. And we sit down and we go through the blends that we're smoking, and we pick out points and all that. And what we like, what we don't like, what we can improve on. They're big on that. And
that's got to be a cool experience to share.
That's got to be cool.
But
crazy cool.
When we go back next, they are definitely going to be part of blending, and they're learning the business and listen, I'm new. I'm learning. I learn every day. I learn something new every day, not just in cigars, but whatever I do, and have an open mind and just for keeping growing. And I think that I want to emulate that to my sons. And for them to grow and learn, because ultimately when I'm gone and they're taking over, they need to progress and they need to take it from X and make it to Z. And I want them to expand and grow it even further than I could have ever even imagined.
That's so awesome, because you're bringing them in, you're starting from the ground up, and you're building it together. It's got to be a wonderful experience.
It's awesome.
But walk before you run.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You ever think about, and again, this is me with all my crazy questions, maybe doing like special, maybe like a culebra kind of thing? Or
So I always have custom drop specials on my mind. And I think what I'd like to do is have custom drops come out every year, limited editions, special cigars, special boxing. We're definitely in that mode of thinking about that in addition to other blends. So that will always be on our plate. Every year, we're going to think about doing something like that.
cool.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. 2028 is going to be a 5th year anniversary cigar, right?
That's right.
You have to.
And it's going to be over the top.
You already know.
Yeah.
So actually, speaking of how long ago was the official release? I know you didn't do like a grand release yet. You're talking about.
I haven't done a
still
grand
doing that,
release, but we the official release of Ross Family Cigars was in Texas, in Fort Worth, actually at one of the CIs. And that's when we first introduced the cigar to the masses, if you will.
Mhm.
And couldn't have been happier with the love that we got. And like I said, we got the cigar of the event, and there were big names there.
Yeah.
Big names there.
How long ago was that?
That was in 2023.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in the same year.
It was in the same year.
Wow.
And we're planning on going back there at more events.
I'll switch.
And keep going from there.
That's cool. That's really dope.
Where are you going?
It's going to bring brisket on.
Beautiful.
Oh, we're swapping
Bringing
it
it
up a
ready
little
for the
bit.
band.
We're going to bring Jay Brisket in here.
I mean, he couldn't think of anything else to ask, so he's tapping out.
Oh, shit.
Bitch ass.
Piss a stupid me. Like that right there.
Well,
Jay Brisket in the freaking house. Throw your thing on there, man.
Oi.
I like how was there a group text for the hoodies?
Apparently, I didn't get it.
I didn't get it either. Actually, you texted me.
I did
Give
text
me a
you.
reminder.
Huh. I wasn't on the group text. This is just by accident.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jay Brisket is in the house.
Oh, let me unmute you. There you go.
Oh, I didn't know you couldn't hear me.
He had you on muted. Wow.
Well, greetings and salutations.
Yes.
Welcome, sir. How are you?
I am doing all right.
Awesome.
First, I was getting pissed at you guys over there because I was just getting myself in trouble.
Explain.
So there's a local swim team starting up and they're having tryouts tonight. And it was a last minute thing. They just opened it up yesterday. So my wife, who got called into a double last night, is all tired and pissed off, finds out that the tryouts are 6:30. And she's like, so you taking her? I'm like, oh no, I got this podcast I'm doing. And then I get here and you guys are like, oh no, we don't have an extra seat for you. And I'm like, you mother.
No, we got you.
No, see, now there's video proof. You're on the podcast.
Yeah,
All right.
I don't know what he was doing at 6:30, but
Was he here?
finally found
Was he
him.
even here?
I finally found him.
I mean, it's 9:30 now. I mean,
Yeah, I was across the street keying Teslas.
Oh, shit.
Oh, damn. We went there. All right, cool.
Yeah, you ever have one of those?
No, I don't think I have.
Oh, this is beautiful. All
So
right.
we got a virgin.
Oh, you
Yes.
had a Ross.
I've had a couple of them. Like when we had the chili cook-off, I had your 5 new ones.
Right. You had that.
Was this in that pack?
The box press Robusto was.
Yep.
But you have had the Toro, I believe, last year, if I remember correctly. Now, let me light that for you here.
Look at that.
Jay needs
Up
help.
on it. Yeah.
Look at that.
Little rookie.
Fucking hey. I love it.
Better than better.
Biscottio.
There you go.
There you go.
That's nice.
So is this your original stick?
That's the original stick,
okay.
Rick Ross.
Yeah.
Flag-
No, I think when you first hand these out, I think they were Churchills, right?
No,
No, they were Toros.
Toros. Yep.
I have a bad memory.
There was Cordos also, and
You saw
Lanceros.
Lenny
We had some
smoking it
Lanceros as
like
well.
church.
Let me get you a glass.
So at this point, it's been a couple years. Are these aged differently, or these are?
They just get better and better
Yeah.
and better. It's so smooth, but it's really been tried and true. And it's right now, obviously, it's our best seller. Although in New York, believe it or not, the Gordo is a really,
really?
great, a crazy seller.
So I used to be all about the Gordos, and then I came back around to Robusto and Toro.
Me too.
It's
I'm never
Yeah.
been a Gordo guy.
Yeah, I love the box press also,
a bit of a size queen.
and and the pairing. I'll tell you what, that larceny pairing
yeah.
with this is
The pairing is
It
ridiculous.
really is.
Yeah.
It unbelievable.
It's only 195 proof. Don't worry.
I know, scared.
I love it.
This is good. So it's been a while since we've talked about your cigars. How's distribution going? You getting your cigars out there?
So we're doing a grand release once the 3 other blends are in full force, which they are now. So we really were waiting till we had the 4 blends to really do the push. And now it's going to start. We've been great in New York, Connecticut. The acceptance of this, the original, the Rick Ross, has been really hot, but we want to get it out to the masses and we want to expand throughout the United States. Ultimate goal, but there's a huge logistics in regards to laws and all that, abroad. So it's a whole different animal. So right now, look, we're just going to stay within the continental United States. And then after that, my son's, researching what it's going to take for us to go to Germany. And
Yeah, because Europe is a huge market.
Huge
They
market.
eat the shit up. So
Well, Europe is a different market. They used to
also
be
have
a
different
very
flavor profile.
but much, but the U.S. is really where the push of the stronger cigar came, and across the, Europe, wherever across abroad,
Mhm.
is really starting to pick up the last few years in regards to a stronger cigar, a flavorful cigar, because everything was always based off of Cuban cigars out
Mhm.
there,
Yeah.
and it's just.
Until recent.
Until
Yeah.
recently, the U.S. has really been the push of all these boutique, stronger cigars, and it's just exploded, especially during and post-COVID.
you're right. Because all the ligas that are all Europe exclusives are strong cigars.
Oh yeah,
They're not light.
no,
Yeah.
And that, Ricky Rodriguez gets them sometimes and he'll share some with me, and they're stronger cigars. I'm like, this is not no fucking Cuban-esque cigar, and they're not used to that, but they're loving it because it's blowing up over there, and
Yes.
we can hardly get them here.
Yeah.
Well, it's different,
Right.
It's not what they're accustomed to.
Right. So they're like, oh, this is great.
Well, and I mean, with China buying all the Cubans, they can't really
Well,
get
right.
Yeah.
a ton of momentum over there. So they're kind of forced to go into the quote unquote new world cigars, which I think is just going to kill Cuba anyway, because they're so much better.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
much better.
Yeah.
In my opinion, yes.
My opinion is
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much the opinion.
Yeah.
But I mean, as cigar smokers, I mean, speaking for myself, and I think most people are like this too, you kind of have that evolution as far as, do you like medium? Do you like medium full? Do you like full? You kind of float, kind of go in and out, and then you find your niche, and then you may fall back. But,
Yep.
During that whole process of figuring out what level you're accustomed to, you also figure out, well, I like this one for this brand or that one for that one.
Yep.
And with the inclusion of, the stronger, bolder cigar, I'm sure they're doing that overseas as
Yeah.
well.
And I think that part of the journey as a cigar smoker too is really
That's
really cool. Like
Half the fun.
yeah, when I was over in Monroe at the shop, and I'd get new smokers in, and we'd be able to kind of coach them through their journey, and introduce them to new stuff and see how they
And their palates
react.
mature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They want that stronger stick. They want that story that it's telling compared to a light cigar.
Yeah.
Because it's a totally different smoke.
Yeah.
It's a totally different experience. And I'm always looking to try new things and different experiences and different flavors. And I find my palate once in a while, I need a break, and I fall back into the lighter cigars, and then, boop, nope, I need it. And then I change.
Yeah. Need that hammer back.
I need that hammer back.
Yeah, it's cool. I'm getting to go through that experience again, like with my partner now. It's like she's actually on her way here now. You know, she started smoking with me and coming to the lounges and stuff like that. She's started out in the flavored stuff, the Deadwoods and that kind of stuff. And I'm slowly starting to wean her off. And
she's graduating.
But see, a Deadwood is good because you still get that tobacco off the Deadwood. It's very subtle sweet. It's not like an acid or something.
It's a whole different animal.
Which is why, like, she's totally skipped over the Connecticut's. Like, if she's not smoking a Deadwood or something, like, I'll get her into something medium full.
See, like, that's awesome.
It's cool to kind of see that journey and again coach someone through that.
And generally, when you see a flavor of a cigar, even though there are certain ones that are lighter wrappers and blends, hence what Drew Estate's trying to do now with their sweet tip, if you will, and all that. But most of the flavored stuff is going to be the darker tobacco.
Mm-hmm.
The only one that, has a combination of them is that the Café con Leche.
Right.
But it starts with that dark wrapper at the bottom.
Which I'll smoke. I'll smoke that with coffee.
I will too.
But I'm not going to smoke it with bourbon.
No.
I'm going to smoke it with coffee.
And by the way, the sweetness dissipates.
It does.
And then you
it
get
doesn't
a real
stay there, which is good. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. See, I always find that with the flavors, like they start out great. And then like my palate adjusts to that flavor and it fades. And then I feel like a lot of the times it's like almost like a lower grade tobacco, because I'm expecting something like this.
Yes.
Right.
And what I get is all of this coffee or whatever flavor. And then it degrades into something that doesn't measure up.
I get it. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never really been into, I've had one or two flavored cigars in my,
Not a fan.
Yeah. I never really.
Nothing wrong with them. Just
No. Yeah. It just never was. My thing.
As a beginner smoker, we or they tend to try that particular type of cigar first because it can be very intimidating. And if you're not used to that tobacco or the nicotine, if you will, or that harsh flavor of a stronger stick, it can turn them green. And I think they graduate, they start with low, and then they want more and more and more.
Do you remember your first cigar?
God, you know what? I don't. But I
that's a good one. We haven't asked that one.
Yeah. I mean, I've been smoking for well over 20 years, and my journey's been long. And I smoke a lot of cigars now. But it was
Do you remember around when?
I would say it was probably a couple years before my oldest son. So I would say it's about 21 years ago. So maybe 2002.
Okay.
2003 is when I first started.
Do you remember what got you into trying a cigar at first, or?
I like to go fishing here and there, and we always, when we're on the boat and we're traveling or going offshore tuna fishing or something like that, it was just the thing that we all did, and we would smoke cigars here and there, and then I would belong to clubs and good friends that smoked together, and it really is about this. I mean, this is what it's all about. Not just the greatness of smoking a cigar, but it brings us all together. We're from all different lifestyles, and
100%.
And it just brings us all together. We have one commonality, and we can talk about everything.
Don't kink
and
shame.
It is a lifestyle.
So now we come to our other question. Excluding, for Ross Family Cigars, excluding that right now, you have $10. You can buy one cigar in the humidor right now. What is it?
$10, huh?
$10.
$10, Chuck.
I mean, I could tell you what my favorite cigars is, but it's not a $10 stick.
So we're getting to that one next.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
$10, you're walking into this humidor, excluding your cigars.
It would probably be one of two, either the Petite Neanderthal or the El Pupo. I'm sorry, not the El Pupo, the Popetta.
The Pulpetta is so good.
Love that cigar.
It's a great cigar.
It is good.
Great cigar.
Dave, you're up. Favorite
Brain
cigar.
freeze.
Favorite.
Oh, I thought we were just going to roll into it.
Yeah. What about you guys? What would you smoke for $10?
$10?
Yep.
Right now, since he's got it in, the Casa Cuba.
Okay.
Fucking that cigar is probably the best bang for your buck that you're getting. To me, anyway.
I don't think I've had one of those.
He just brought them in here. They've always had them at other shops. But
It's a fantastic
The Casa Cuba.
It's a very good
is
cigar.
A good cigar.
You've
Small.
had them.
I don't think I have.
Oh, definitely.
sure?
I know. And you and I think it's
In fact,
together.
I'm sorry, Fuente, but
Maybe.
that's better than the the Don Carlos.
It is.
Oh,
A
shit.
million
Yeah.
percent.
Ooh.
I like the Don Carlos. You know, the Cameroon wrapper. It's smooth. It's
I mean, it's been sort of like a flagship of their premium.
It's got the thin band.
Those
on it.
Casa Cubas.
You
That
definitely
Casa
have
Cuba
it.
I see it, maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
yeah, it's so good.
Now, when you smoke other people's cigars, obviously still for enjoyment, but do you find yourself comparing it to yours?
So you always, I compare construction, how well it stays lit. I like to, whenever I smoke, especially when I'm blending and smoking my own cigars,
Mm-hmm.
I want to see how the cigar sits, how long it stays lit, and then I want to let it to sit for a couple hours, and I want to come back and relight it and see how it relights,
Okay, yeah.
because I don't want it to be any harsh,
the
bitterness,
yeah.
harsh. There are, and listen, there's great manufacturers out there that, and one of my favorite, that when you relight that cigar, it becomes pretty harsh.
What is it?
Yeah.
Come
Come on.
You don't have to.
Yeah.
Hey, it's just us. Nobody else.
One of
isn't
my
being recorded.
favorite cigars is a Padron, and certain ones, when you relight them, because the nicotine that packs in at
I
the
think
end,
it builds.
it
Yeah,
builds.
yeah,
it
You know,
builds.
it can be, but a great cigar, one of my favorite lines that's ever out there. If I had one cigar to ever smoke other than my own, and that I had to pick for the rest of my life, besides the Rick Ross, it would be a Padron.
So that's interesting because I know, at least with Cappy, and you like the barbecue too. When I eat other people's food, because I like the barbecue. So when I try somebody else's barbecue, my first thought is interesting. A little more garlic, a little less
Yes.
this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you
Kind
think
of
the
take
same
it
way when you
away.
smoke a
Yeah.
cigar?
Oh my God,
Yeah.
yes. You know,
And
being
do,
that-
and do you ever
A
like
little
to
competitive
not to
analysis.
cut you
Yeah.
off, but like to
Not even
to kind of
competitive, just like,
off that?
oh, look what they did here. I'm going to have to try that.
Right.
Mm.
Do you find yourself like smoking other people's cigars, or even just remembering cigars that you smoked and being like, I kind of want to do something a little bit like this, not mimic it,
I
but
never want to be
for inspiration.
that guy that does the same, but I can get very inspired by cigars, totally. But I want to know, okay, why is it smoking like this? Where's it from? Where's what part of the leaf, where it is on the tree, on the plant rather, and how we can construct the cigar to get different flavors, because it's also about where the blend or the tobacco leaves are in the blend. You know, how you construct them and make sure each individual cigar gets constructed the exact same way, the same portions of each leaf, and where that leaf is in the roll. And that's going to give you consistency. And when you find cigars that have stood the test of time, you know that that leaf is exactly where it needs to be in that cigar. The binder is exactly what it is. And I mean, you know, again, looking at Padrones, you know, most of them are, you get the Maduro and a light, wrapper. And, you know, to me, the light wrapper is the more pepper.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. And people were like, no, that's impossible. Yeah, much so. It's very much so.
I mean, I think the making a cigar is like half art, half science.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the art comes in that whole blending. Where am I taking it? What part of the plant? Is it more Ligero? Is it Seca? You know, and then the ratios that kind of go into it, and then the binder filler. All of that kind of comes into play, and it's not like you can just key it up and come up with something. You can't like chat GPT this thing.
Right.
Yeah.
But it comes from smoking it and trying it and
Yeah.
figuring
And really
it out.
the experience of the roller at that point, because you give them the formula and the experience of the roller to know exactly where it needs to be, the portions that it needs to be of the equation of what portion of leaf goes in each individual cigar. It makes a big, big difference.
And that message to that person has to be, so your producer has to know this is what I want, and that message to him has to be like, it has to be this. Because if you divert in any direction, it's not going to be my cigar.
It'll totally
And
change it.
you're
And
going to mess it up.
generally, you know, most of these rollers have been there forever. We will always use the same crew of roller to roll our cigars.
Mm.
Always.
Now, have you been present when that happens? When like the first couple
yeah.
get rolled?
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever seen a situation where the roller's like, oh no, this isn't going to work. It'll work better this way, or do they just
Never.
do it
We've
precisely
always-
to what you
Yeah,
want?
when we're blending, it's already done. That's it. And then they have a job and they roll.
Mm.
But I like, you know, as I grow in my cigar smoking, I love a little bit of pepper.
Mhm.
And I really appreciate a cigar that has, especially on the retro, a little bit of the pepper. I don't want to overpower somebody on pepper, even though I can I love a lot of pepper, but I don't want to kill the messenger.
Right.
And I want somebody to have a really pleasant experience. So even on this cigar, when you retro this, it doesn't kill your nose or palate.
No.
But it's definitely got some pepper, but this is very flavorful. One thing I look for in a cigar is I want that story. I want that flavor that it tells me as I'm smoking it.
Right.
And then the retro really pushes it over the top with the pepper. And then it just gives you another chapter,
100%.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people get confused with the pepper and harshness in a cigar, because pepper in a cigar is delicious.
Yes.
Right?
Mhm.
Harshness comes from a young tobacco.
Yes.
And people don't
Wet
understand that.
tobacco.
So when you
Right.
have a young tobacco and you're smoking like, oh, this is harsh, and it's banging you in the mouth, and you're like, oh, this is peppery. No, it's not. That's a harsh young tobacco you're smoking.
Yes.
When you get the pepper, it's a flavor. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh my God, I
It's an
can't take this.
experience.
Yeah,
It is.
It takes a little experience, because when it's harsh and it's like young,
Right.
it hits you in the back of the throat.
And you're like, and it
Yeah.
kills you. You're like, I don't want to smoke
And it
this.
stays with you.
Right. When it hits you in the palate, you know it was intentional. You know,
Exactly.
it was-
And on the nose.
right.
Yep,
Because
on the nose.
that's the most important
Yeah.
part. Like when you're retroing that pepper, that's when you really get that experience of pepper when you're retroing. And this, for me, gives
Just did
me-
it.
No,
I just did it. And it's good. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good, but I don't retro
This doesn't
much.
give
So
you
me
any of
neither.
that
I
harshness
retro
in the
on
back of the
it.
throat.
I retro on every exhale, man.
One of the biggest
Do
things
you?
I have is I don't want that harshness in the
Right.
back of the throat.
Yeah.
I don't want anything to stay with you. I want every draw to be consistent and give you that flavor and no harshness left. And I think this cigar nailed it.
And-
100%.
So
I'm
my
rolling pretty
sinuses are
deep
clear.
now. And
So think about it.
and it's not harsh at all.
I
It's just a
haven't
good draw.
smoked. I
I'm
haven't
not getting
smoked
that
in 5
tar.
days. I've been in Florida,
shit.
right? So
5 days.
yeah. So my daughter's like, "Oh, good, your lungs get it." I said, "No, it has nothing to do with my lungs." She goes, "So you smoke cigars just for the taste?" I'm like, "Yeah,
Exactly.
I said, "I'm not inhaling this shit. I smoke it for the taste. I'll maybe retrohale. I get it, but it's all about the taste and the regions." And I learned that when I went to these places, because at first you were just smoking cigars like, "Oh, this is fucking cool," but then when you learn the different regions and where people are actually cultivating this stuff, it becomes very interesting.
And when you
No, it
go
does.
and you see the fields and the way that they pick, I mean,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
really an experience.
It's eye opening.
Yeah.
It really is eye opening. The love that goes into making each individual.
Yeah.
That's the word for it. Love.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. And this thing, I mean, we're over an hour into this podcast, and I've still got almost 2 inches left on
Yeah,
this thing. Like
yeah.
it's a good slow burn.
And it's a good burn,
Yeah, it is.
doesn't burn hot. I
No.
like to keep it in perfect humidity. When I store my cigars, obviously I keep them between 68 and 70%.
That's 68.
Because you want to keep them, moist because they got to travel when people are taking them. But it's delicious. It's really delicious.
It is. This cigar is great.
And
I will say this is about when I start to like put a cigar down, because
you get that backup.
you get some buildup.
Yep.
You get sometimes it gets a little bitter, it gets a little hot at the end, and I'm not anywhere near even thinking about that right now.
And, for a medium full cigar, the amount of cocoa that you get in this, that delicious flavor.
And raw cocoa.
and
too. It's like a raw
yeah.
cocoa.
It's really, really good. But I'm proud of it, to be honest with you.
Well, I'm proud of you for
as you
doing
should
this.
be, man.
I'm
I
really
appreciate that.
We
this is
appreciate you
great.
coming and
Yeah.
sharing the love with us today.
Yeah,
Thank you, Rick.
it's a cool journey that you embarked on, and like it's
I'm blessed to have you guys see me in the beginning of the journey, to be honest
Right.
with you. I really appreciate
We're
it.
gonna be like, Rick.
Yeah.
I don't know you, buddy. I'm an hombre.
You know what? I had a proud moment last year. I was there's a local bar that has an event on a Thursday nights, and it's like a salsa cigar night.
Oh, nice.
And another company sells their cigars there, and they do a lot of hand rolls and their own lines, as well as a couple of.
Oh, I know where you're talking about.
Yeah,
I know exactly.
And in the center of the dance floor where the band was playing, there were 3 individuals, and I noticed smoking Ross Family Cigars. I was blown away. And I looked over and I pointed at them, and I was like, good cigar. I was giving him the thumbs up,
Mhm.
and he came over. He's like, "Oh, do you know these cigars? These are unbelievable." He's like, "This is my favorite cigar now." And I'm like, "I own that company." And he's like, "Get out of here." I said, "I'm Rick
That's
Ross."
amazing.
He said, "You got to be kidding me." And everybody came over taking pictures, and I was like, "This is what it's all about."
That's what it's
Yeah.
all
Is
about.
that
what
the
it's all
first time
about.
that you've like seen your cigars like in the wild,
Yes,
quote unquote?
it
Like-
was totally in the wild,
Yeah.
unabated. It was amazing.
That's
it really
cool.
was. So it was a great moment for me, to be honest with you.
That's
Very
great.
cool.
Yeah.
That's a good story.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
awesome. Well, I think that's a great story to kind of wrap things up on.
Yeah,
too, 'cause I'm-
beautiful.
Yes, sir.
I don't know about you guys. I'm kind of out of questions, and I just want to finish smoking.
Let's
this
just finish
cigar.
smoking.
Yeah, we can
Yeah, we can do that.
Rick, man, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you guys for having me.
This has been awesome.
It's
I
been a
love the
pleasure.
smoke. Can't wait to get you back on the
Ross
podcast
Family
when everything else
Cigars,
comes out.
Let's do it.
Go.
All right, man.
We'll smoke the new blends on the new one.
Here we go.
Hey, if you're listening, remember rossfamilycigars.com. Check them out.
Right here at Prime.
Right here.
Prime
Let's go.
Tobacconist, Milford,
Hit up Prime
Connecticut.
Tobacconist. Order some. They'll ship them out to you. You won't
Got
be
it.
disappointed.
Definitely
Gentlemen,
not.
thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Holla.